Try something right now. Think of one improvement you've promised yourself for years and still haven't made. You probably knew the answer right away, which raises an uncomfortable question. If we already know what needs to change, why do we keep living the same way? One reason is that knowledge and action are two very different things. Knowing what to do takes a moment. Building a habit takes repetition. So today, let's look at 8 habits you can start using immediately to make it easier to turn good intentions into action. Review your goals once a day. Do you still remember what you wanted most at the beginning of the year? For many people, the answer is no. Not because those goals stopped mattering, but because everyday life slowly pushes them into the background. Days fill up with tasks, deadlines, messages, and responsibilities. And before long, you're busy without really thinking about where you're going. That's why this habit is so useful, and it takes almost no time at all. Once a day, take a moment to remind yourself what you actually want. It can be in the morning with your coffee or at night before bed. It doesn't have to be anything formal. Just bring those goals back to the front of your mind and keep them visible. And over time, you start to notice something. When your goals stay in front of you, your decisions begin to reflect them. It becomes easier to say no to distractions and yes to things that move you forward. When you're clear about what matters, decisions become easier because you're no longer trying to figure out what you want every day. Follow the 1-minute rule. This is a simple idea from the writer Gretchen Rubin, and it's already pretty well known precisely because it's so simple and practical. If a task requires less than a minute to complete, please do it immediately. No thinking. You took off your coat, hang it up. You could answer that message in 10 seconds, so go ahead and do it. Things that take seconds. What makes the rule powerful is that most clutter and unfinished tasks don't begin as big problems. They begin as tiny decisions to postpone something. We look at a task and think, I'll do it later. Then we do the same with the next one and the next one. Before long, we're no longer dealing with one small task. We're dealing with dozens of them. That's how an afternoon disappears. Not because any single task was difficult, but because so many easy things were allowed to accumulate. What once required seconds now demands time, energy, and attention. This one seems too small to matter, but give it a try. Think about what it's like to walk into the kitchen in the morning and find last night's dishes in the sink, crumbs on the counter, and everything exactly where it was left. Before the day has even begun, there's already something waiting to be dealt with. Now think about the opposite. You spend a few minutes before bed washing what's left, wiping down the counter, and putting things back in order. The next morning, the kitchen is ready for you. Nothing needs your attention. Nothing is demanding to be finished. The difference is subtle, but you feel it immediately. A clean kitchen makes the house feel cared for. And it makes simple things, like preparing breakfast, feel easier and more pleasant. And that small advantage carries into the rest of the morning. Instead of starting the day catching up, you're starting from a clean slate. Use the 50-30-20 rule with your money. Do you know where your money went last month? Most people don't. And when you don't know where your money is going, it's difficult to feel in control of it. Peace of mind comes from knowing where your money is going and having a plan for it. The 50-30-20 rule is a simple way to do that. 50% of what you earn goes toward essentials like housing, food, bills, and other necessary expenses. 30% goes toward the things you enjoy, whether that's entertainment, hobbies, eating out, or anything else that makes life more enjoyable. And the remaining 20% goes into savings. I know that last part is usually the hardest, especially in the beginning. But that 20% isn't money that's disappearing. It's money that's gradually creating options for your future. It's your emergency fund. And that's what savings really provide. They don't just give you money. They give you room to breathe when things don't go according to plan. The one more rule is exactly what it sounds like. You take something you're already doing and add just a little more. Food is an easy place to start. One more vegetable on your plate. One more glass of water during the day. That's all. You're not trying to reinvent your lifestyle overnight. Once that extra vegetable feels normal, you add another. Once the extra glass of water becomes automatic, you stop thinking about it. And the same idea applies far beyond food. Read one more page before bed. Learn one more sentence in the language you've always wanted to speak. Walk for one more minute. Small additions like these barely seem worth noticing in the moment. That's often how progress happens. Large goals can feel overwhelming. But the moment you turn a big goal into a small action, it's easier to follow through. And that's what makes the rule so effective. You stop measuring progress by the size of the goal and start measuring it by consistency. Choose the stairs over the elevator. We all know exercise is important, yet many people treat it as something that requires a separate block of time, something you have to schedule, drive to, and complete before getting back to your life. But movement can simply become part of the way you live. Start noticing the moments throughout the day when your body has the chance to do a little more work. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Park a little farther away. Get off the bus one stop early. Walk to nearby places whenever it makes sense. None of these actions seem important on their own, but together they add up to far more movement than most people realize. I discovered this by accident. I spent 3 months living in another city on the 4th floor of a building downtown. Everything was new, so I explored the area on foot. I walked almost everywhere and climbed those stairs several times a day without thinking much about it. By the end of those 3 months, I was in better shape and had lost weight. What struck me wasn't the result. It was the fact that I never felt like I was exercising. I was simply moving through my day in a different way. Once an hour, you stop. Just 1 minute. Close your eyes if you can. Breathe slowly and look back at the hour that just went by. Was there something that left you tense or anxious? Anything that tightened your chest or sped your head up? You just acknowledge it without judgment, and you breathe. This minute allows you to release any lingering stress before it accumulates in the next hour. People who practice this technique find that stress stops piling up because you empty it out hour by hour instead of carrying all of it until nighttime. It's like emptying a glass little by little instead of letting it overflow. The real value isn't the minute itself. It's the fact that tension never gets the chance to sit inside you for an entire day. Most of us only notice stress when it becomes impossible to ignore. This habit teaches you to notice it much earlier while it's still small and easy to release. Have you noticed that out of everything that happens in a day, we usually remember the worst part? We replay it in our heads, carry it into the night, and sometimes wake up still thinking about it, while the good moments disappear into the background. So try doing the opposite on purpose. Before you close your eyes, bring to mind one good thing from the day. Just one. Hold it in your attention for a few seconds. And if the day was genuinely difficult, Think about one thing it taught you. The point isn't to pretend everything was good. It's simply to give the good parts of the day the same attention we naturally give the bad ones. There's something almost nobody notices about these habits. They weren't made to change your day today. But think about who you'd be 2 years from now if you had repeated any one of them every day starting today. That person exists. They're waiting on the other side. We started with a simple question. If we already know what needs to change, why do we keep living the same way? Maybe part of the answer is that we keep waiting for the right moment. When most changes begin on an ordinary day, with something small that hardly seems worth doing. So pick one and see where it leads.